Welcoming day. We're finally getting some rain. I'll say hopefully it rains for the next 2 days. Today is Monday, August 22nd, 7 p.m. and we're meeting for our select board meeting. And as customary, we'll like to honor our country by pledging allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Okay. Tonight we are here. I think so we'll discuss later. The last time that the actual select board will be appointing board of registrars, and tonight we have Maria Nyren. And did you have anything that you'd like to say, Larry, about this at all? No. No, particularly. Okay. You know the reason we're doing I know that you're here, so. Maria?
You know the reason we're doing it.
Yeah, I just wanted you, maybe you could explain why we're doing it. Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Okay, so actually this is Mass General Law. It's Chapter 51, Section 25. And it states that no person appointed can hold any other position elected or appointed in the town. And as well, it goes further than that because it also talks about the Commonwealth and the federal government. So, and the reason that it's come to the fore is because it's really the climate that has made me act on it now, because this happened last year, but we didn't have any elections, any state elections coming up. But right now we're all under such scrutiny from both sides. And I just wanted to ensure that we weren't doing anything that was incorrect, so that we would be cited for. And I did speak to Sue Garth about it, and she is still going to work with us on the polls, but in a different capacity.
So her choice was, as a library trustee, she wanted to remain as a library trustee, so she resigned from the board of registrars, which is why we have Maria here this evening, who basically is volunteered for the position.
And she has come to us through the Democrat Town Committee, which is the appropriate way of doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, so Kevin had recommended.
Okay.
Any questions from the board? Let's do this. No? I was just more curious as to how this. So we've known about this, but you were just, Larry, concerned that. You know,
well, I knew about it.
Could it have made our elections suspect illegal? It could have. If somebody wanted to challenge you, right? Based on that law.
They, believe me, they are looking.
Yeah, no, I understood. No.
I mean, there's organizations. I get things every day, emails every day.
Yeah.
With different things going on.
We want to make sure we're doing things right. So thank you for that explanation. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Maria, would you like to come up? Yeah, sure. Well, you're here, and we appreciate you volunteering. Nothing to prepare for. It's just a matter of we thank you for your time, for coming here this evening, and for volunteering to help out the Board of Registrars. Does any of the board members have any questions? No.
I just hope that I can help. I volunteer. I like to get a little bit more involved with the town, and this opportunity came up, and Larry called me, and I'm very happy to do my best.
Excellent.
And try to help as much as I can.
Well, thank you very much. So I'd like to.
Thank you for volunteering.
Absolutely.
We always need more of those.
Is there a motion on the floor to accept Maria? Is it Nyren? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yes.
Maria's application for Board of Registrars.
So moved.
Second. We have a first and a second. Any questions? None. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
4-0. All right, great. Thank you very much.
You're
welcome to stay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I would like to stay if I can.
Yes, please. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. So we had an item on the agenda, but I believe we're passing over, right, Dennis? Okay. So we're way ahead of the curve. So we're going to look at other business. So we have an award-led inspection contract.
That has to do with our housing rehabilitation program. As you know, we received $800,000 award for the community development through the community development block program, and allowed us to continue our housing rehabilitation program. And one of the things that we do oftentimes when we're doing housing rehab rehabilitation projects is we have to do lead remediation from some of the older homes. So we go out to bid on that. And Paula Stewart, who I know you've met, has offered a recommendation with regard to that. In her letter, I'm attaching the request. Caulfield Environmental was a low bid. They've been doing inspections for several years and it's very efficient. She's attaching their IQ, the 2 responses and the tabulation of results and a proposed contract. So I'd ask that we award the contract for lead abatement for the community development block program to Caulfield Environmental and have them sign that contract.
With motion.
Do we have the amount? Do we know the amount?
It's on a case-by-case
Okay.
basis, so on an hourly type rate. So it'll just be to them. It depends on the size of the project. It's the way that the bids go in. I know they attach it, so it's not a specific dollar amount that you would have, but it's to award the bid as recommended by community development group opportunities to Caulfield Environment.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any further questions?
Who made the first motion?
Dennis?
Oh, I don't.
No,
Dennis
wouldn't
made
You
it?
don't consider Dennis?
No.
One.
I have one more question.
Okay.
So number 7 in the
Contractor
agreement.
price.
Yeah,
the
so
town will pay
that's
the contractor a total
24,000.
fee, an amount not to exceed $24,000. The contractor will be paid according to the fee schedule presented in the contractor's proposal submitted July 13, 22. The fee for individual tasks and services shall not exceed the amount shown. So essentially what they're saying is depending on the projects that they're doing, no matter what, they can't exceed that $24,900. If they do, there'd have to be an amendment to the contract. And it's also going to be based on the number of projects that we have that have lead. A lot of times, we don't always have lead remediation in every project that we do.
Can we make the motion not
Sure.
to exceed the 24,900?
That'd be great.
Okay, so I will make a motion to accept Caulfield Environmental and award them the lead contract in an amount not to exceed $24,900.
We have a first. We have a second. Second. Any further questions? And none. All in favor?
Aye.
Just one other comment.
Yeah, sure.
Great program. We're just starting to take in applications. There's a lot of opportunities there. So if anyone thinks that it's based, there are income qualifications, but it's work that can be done in your home and at absolutely no cost if you stay in your home. I believe it's 15 years. After 15 years, it's completely forgiven. If you sell your home before 15 years, it's a prorated amount.
And say, is there a lien put on your house? For
There's a
15
lien.
years?
There's a lien put on your property, and if you stay there, the idea is that someone doesn't get all the work done and then flip their home.
Sell a home.
Exactly. So, but it's a great program. Roofs, septic systems, electrical upgrades, furnaces, all kinds of different stuff. We've got the program in town for 30 or 40 years, and still there are people that don't know anything about it.
So we have first, a second, comments. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries forward.
So I just need you, Don, to sign.
Great, thank you very much. All right. Next, we have a bid award, Potter Drive sewer pump station generator replacement.
It's under bid award.
Yeah. There it is. Got it. I see. Okay, so here, was this have to do with the well?
No, it's a sewer pump.
Sewer pump, okay, that's right. Sewer pump, okay. You have a motion?
I move that contract 20222 PDGR Potter Drive Sewer Pump Station Generator Replacement be awarded to the low bidder Elm Electrical Inc. LS from Westfield. And the amount on that is $162,647.
Second with first and second. For any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next. July 11th minutes. A motion to accept the minutes as prepared. So moved.
Second.
First and second. All in favor? Any questions? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None. Motion carries unanimously. All right. I need to catch my breath. By the way, to the audience, I see Tim A. and M. Snellberg. Welcome. I should have welcomed you before.
And
I apologize for not. Yeah. I knew that. Tim
And
is.
there's a TLP.
There's a Town of Bellingham, TOB. Welcome. And you're free to take your mics off and ask questions if you have any, please. But we just would want you to recognize who you are and your full name and your address. So if you'd like to say anything, you're more than welcome to. Next, we have an ARPA project. Dennis?
The Upper Review Committee is recommending the restoration of the Town Common Historic Foundation, restoration of the historic fountain. It's an 1860s fountain that was in front of the Baptist Church for years until the Civil War monument was moved over to the Town Common. Now it's at the entryway to the Town Common, and we will be, or the goal is to have that plumbed and circulating water once again as it did sometime. Probably hasn't done it for 70 or 80 years, but ARPA funds are used to promote outdoor activities, and obviously this is something that would be at the gateway to the Town Common. So that is the recommendation for $15,000. That they do have a bid in play, and that is supported by the Town Common trustees and the Historical Commission.
Any questions? So the only comment, obviously, it's a pretty obvious one, but during a drought, if we're, we probably don't want that fountain running.
The good news is it circulates.
I know, but there's still evaporation.
Yeah.
But I understand. Yeah, we just have to be careful. We don't want to set the wrong wire. Why did they do that? Sure. Just feeling a lot of questions. I know it's petty, but I'm trying to avoid comments and questions and phone calls, honestly.
The Town Common was created to be self-sustaining. I thought all funds were raised there for rental and everything else. This is the first time that we've spent money that I'm aware of outside the budget. Outside of that,
We actually have a line item now because the bank went away.
the ATM went away.
Yeah, the ATM went away. So, so now it is the responsibility of the town to fund the various things that comes up.
Any more comments?
How big is the phone?
It's at the end. You don't recall?
It's a pretty decent size, and it's.
It was always at the entry. It was always right in front of the Baptist Church. Don't recall it in front of the Civil War monument. So it's right at the entryway at 126. There were a lot of them placed right around the same time frame, 1840, 1870. I think they were the Worcesters in part that we used. Not that we need a Worcester, but certainly one of the few historic relics that we have public display.
You see it if you're walking around the common. I think the tricky thing is like I do, I park in the parking lot near the monuments versus parking in the lot off 126, and that's where it's facing. So you see it when you're walking around.
Any other comments, questions? No, Larry?
It's going to be lighting too, so
It's going to be interesting.
should be able to see.
Very nice. Is there going to be some sort of dedication plan when that's all up and ready to go?
It's actually the 25th anniversary, right?
So we were hoping to get it done
yeah,
for September. That's not.
It won't. Any questions? Have a motion on the floor?
I move that the select board approve the projects as listed here and with said expenditures to be under the direction of the parties noted.
We have a first, we have a second. We have a first and a second. Any further comments or questions? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Old business. Are we there already? Yes, we are. On Dennis. We want to talk.
Yeah, one of the select board project updates I know we had on there was the charter
bylaws
update, which you were the chairperson of that committee.
So, yeah, I'll give everybody an update. So we have completed our review of the bylaws and the charter. It was active participation amongst the members. I think the biggest changes that you'll see, and we're going to be going forward in town meeting. We'll give a presentation to town meeting. We'll have the new charter bylaws available for print for anybody attending the town meeting. And we'll do a presentation that night on the major change. But the biggest changes, and again, for those folks that aren't aware, we go through this process every 10 years. And so there were a number of grammatical changes from the old to this current one. Most notable is that there was an agreement to change from which the select board has already made this change. We had to get it into the charter. The board of selectmen will be now called the select board. So that's a big change in the charter. We also will be moving the annual town election to the first Tuesday of June, which follows the May town meeting. And that only makes sense for a few reasons. That we have, there's a board that prepares the budget, there's a number, and then all of a sudden they're not there. I mean, they're not, if they're not elected. So we decided to make sure that the election, that the folks that worked on the budgets through the year, preparing for it, et cetera, were there through the town meeting for the approval. So that's one of the big reasons we did that. So I didn't say that the right way, but again, it made sense to reorganize the election to the first Tuesday in June after the May town meeting. So that's a big change. There was also a discussion, and I believe that the recommendation is going to be moving the Board of Health from 3 members to 5. And that only makes a lot of sense for a number of reasons. A 3-member board makes it really hard. Well, for one, they can never have a one-off conversation with another board member because it'd be breaking open meeting laws violations because it's 2 out of 3. So they could never have a conversation. That's one reason. But also, a 3-member board doesn't allow for enough diversity. So we made the recommendation, we met before with the Board of Health, we made the recommendation as to why we wanted to do this, and they're in agreement, though they don't have to approve, but that's a big change. So we're going to go from 3 members to 5 members. Okay. So that's one of the big changes that will happen in the charter. There'll no longer be a residency requirement for the town administrator. As Dennis has said, he's will be retiring here soon, and it may limit our ability to hire the right candidate if they don't live in the town of Bellingham. However, we will strongly recommend that they live within a reasonable distance to the town of Bellingham, who's ever going to be hiring the town administrator. It does limit, and we talked to Dennis, made several points on behalf. It really will limit our ability to hire the best candidate, because we're not necessarily going to find the best candidate that lives in Bellingham or is willing to move to Bellingham. If they're living in Franklin or Upton or somewhere within 10 or 15 miles of Bellingham, they might have kids in the school system. They may not be willing to uproot their children and move into the Bellingham school system or do school choice. So I just think it made sense for us to do that. So that's also another big change. And then the constables elected to serve will change from 4. And we had a lot of debate over this to 1 or more. We didn't want to say there had to be 4, but we had to say there at least had to be 1 or more. So that was debate back and forth. What do the constables actually do? Do we need 4? Do we need 1? Ari, if you care to chime in, this was your thoughts, your idea. So maybe you can give the board, some of your thoughts as to why this is important.
Well, for one thing, most of what we do, what our constables do, is post announcements like elections and town meetings and so on. Mm-hmm. And we rarely use all 4. And we also will say we're not at a loss for candidates, but we have to go out and actually recruit them in. They're not, they're not forthcoming and saying, okay, I'm going to run again. We actually have to, kind of bring it to their attention. It's an election coming up. So it would be better than having to have 4. If 1 year we only had 1 or 2, we would be within our charter to be able to do that.
Any questions for Larry? No. And then the other discussion continues on really the relevance of the Parks Commission and what purpose do they really serve. So I think that's that continues. I think we'll still continue to have a conversation about that up until the November time meeting. Yeah, I mean it's in November. And I know there's some board members that feel pretty strongly about it. And I think we should continue that conversation to see do we really need to have a Parks Commission? Yeah, makes sense. And that's really about the highlights. Again, you should have received copies, a red line version of it, and see all the changes. But those are the big changes that will be presented in November.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. That committee is a subcommittee of the select board, correct?
No, the way the charter works, the select board have an appointee, although 2 sit, the town clerk, not the town clerk, the moderator appoints so many of the finance committee. It's one of those where it's a group of boards that actually make the appointment. The idea is to not have any one board.
So there's library trustee, school committee appointee, planning board has so all the number of the boards. The moderator has 3 choices. So Kelly and I served on the committee as members of the select board. Larry was on the committee as town clerk. Dennis was ex officio member. Jen Altamonte, Sue was on.
Joe
Joe Calamari,
Calamari,
yep, Brian Salisbury, and Bill O'Connell.
Sue Gardner.
Any questions?
Absolutely.
Go for it.
So was it discussed about tenure of chairman or chair people on the board?
Yes, I brought it up, but no, none of the other members wanted to make a motion to discuss that at all.
For a reason.
You have to ask them.
I think the conversation was the individual board should make those determinations. Was the prevailing comment from a couple of
Subsequent. I'll say it again. Why would I think people don't get on the Conservation Commission because we have the same chair for 30+ years. And I have utmost respect for Mike Reed, but why he's the chair for 9 years on the school committee?
Why is the chair for FinCom 7?
It's a huge problem, and
yeah.
Someone's going to bring it up on the floor, and if not, it's going to be me. Why are we switching the housing authority to tenants get to vote? And because it doesn't say in here,
Where was section you want?
but it doesn't specifically say it. It says voting per unit. You could have 5 people in a unit. There's no. How do you determine?
No housing authority individuals that reside at the housing authority actually will vote one of their own to be the housing authority, and that's recently enacted state law.
Okay. Well, speaking of Mass General Law, I see that Larry, your registrar is going to appoint. You're going to appoint the members.
We discussed that.
Why? Because I did a Google search and it says who appoints Board of Registrars, and it says Mass General Law. Part 1, Title 8, Chapter 51, Section 15. It's appointed by the mayor of or the select.
Or appointed by.
So why is the board giving up that right?
I think we had a discussion similar to this a while back. And it was because pretty much everybody admitted that they didn't know what the registrars do.
Okay. So in the Google search, it came up and who appoints it, and it says Town of Grafton, Select Board, Town of Amherst, Select Board, Town of Framingham, Mayor, Town of Boylston, Select Board. Why are we doing this if everywhere else it's the select board of the mayor?
Well, we actually we checked that with town council as well, and they said it usually is, but it could be some other, because it talks about an appointing body. And I actually, if you want to put it back, that doesn't matter to me, other than I just hope everybody understands what it's all about.
Again, it's Grafton, Lakeville, Woburn, Framingham, Boylston. In none of these towns did it say your position.
Well, so there's no reason why we can't
Put it back.
go put it back and have a meeting with the committee. And Michael,
Yeah, no, I mean,
if you want to join the meeting, you're more than welcome to. You know, and absolutely. So if that's a big concern of yours, and you've got a reason why, to me, why should it, just because another town's doing, why should it be the select board doing this? Like, what's your reason for it?
it's the senior position of the town. I mean, if we're going, well, why do we appoint everything else? So let's find another person to appoint conservation, zoning, and everything else. You got to give me a reason to move it.
Yeah.
Other than what we got.
Okay. So I will, as the chairman of that,
I mean, I'd be happy to attend the meeting.
I'll call another meeting.
There were some comments in here about comments from town council. When I look at this 6.4.8, where it was taken off the draft budget, which I actually think is a good idea, because it takes out the finance committee.
Wait, 6.4.
6.4.
Budget process.
The draft budget, actually, we should say, and the finance committee may establish.
Yeah, well,
Finance committee should opine. I don't think they should take. I agree with
that's
that.
what they do. And I think the Joe's on, and he made that comment. We don't do anything anyway. It comes to us and we review it and they make their comments.
I understand about the residency, but why wouldn't you just give the right to the select board to alter that if they wish to, as opposed to saying, oh,
You mean for a town administrator?
Yeah, the idea is it's very competitive. If you have a residency requirement, you may narrow your field. I mean, you could theoretically, ask someone to live in town. It's the only position that you have a residency requirement for. And the board did, when I was initially hired, the board waived it. I lived in Oxbridge for 2 years and I moved to Bellingham in 1990. So theoretically,
I think the comment I had in all of that was that there may be candidates out there, and if they read that it's a residency requirement, they may not even apply for the position. And we don't want to limit who applies. And if we said we'd like you to live here and they're unwilling, they live 50 or 60 miles away, to me, if I was on that committee, I wouldn't hire a town administrator who lived that far away.
No, the expectation should be you live within a certain distance. Yeah. But that's something the planning board will have to take on. I know communities have hired. I knew a town administrator that's lived in Seacon for 30 years. He's been the town administrator in Dedham and Foxborough and quite a few towns, and commuted all the time and very successful, done well. I know Blackstone has had administrators that have lived in Springfield and rented apartments to stay during the week and drove back home. I don't think that's a good, good option. So I think the salary is such that the expectation should be that they live nearby. Okay. It's just difficult when you've got a 3-year appointment. You're going to move your family to a new community, sell your house, buy a new house, and after 3 years, if it doesn't work out, then you're doing it again.
Under definitions, when it talks about majority vote, are there other examples other than the board that says the majority vote shall mean that those present and voting provided there is a quorum of the body present when the vote is taken unless a higher number is required by law?
Is there an example of that?
I mean, the select board, if we have three members, it has to be a majority, correct? It has to be all three.
Well, what does it say? Because we've gone back and forth on that. The words majority shall mean a majority of those present voting.
Well, if it's three members of the select board, 2-1.
Provided there is a quorum of the body present when the vote is taken. We went and got another opinion on that. I want to pull that out. Yeah, I still get mixed up on that one.
Yeah.
Because I think we were corrected, and you know, a quorum would be 3, and a majority of the quorum would be 2. And I think that was the opinion that was up.
But I thought we were told that the select board had to have.
We were at one time, and then if you recall,
No,
we
it
had
changed,
town
I
council
remember.
here.
Yeah.
We had town council here, and town council said no. We've had, I think that was the opinion from the previous town council. What you're from?
Hello.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that may be Mr. Snowbirds. So we did get that opinion, and that was how we operated. And then we got, when we had town council here one time, we specifically asked the question because John Allen, I think, was the one that raised it, was concerned about it. We've got it downstairs.
Yeah.
It's gone back and forth. Hillary, you're thinking.
I'm thinking what you said. If,
majority is, quorum is 3 and a majority would be 2.
Yeah.
That's what
I agree.
recall.
I thought the board had to.
We will affirm that.
And it may make sense if we have 5 to state that what a quorum is, what a majority is in the charter, right? Based on the board.
I mean, it's a little redundant, but in 2-1-1, there's no need to put registered voters of the town in because under the definitions of voter, the word voter shall mean registered voters of the town of Bellingham.
I think there was a reason we had to put that in, which is why it's in red.
We definitely talked a lot about it. I
Yeah.
recall that. And I think the point was it was in there. And I don't know why. You know, Larry, if I recall, there was something.
I know there was a lot of discussion.
Yeah, there was.
We agreed to leave it in.
We just agreed to leave it in for just so there was no question, even though the definition is in there. Yeah, and the other thing we did too is that the definitions we moved to the front of the section as opposed to having them in the back, like in any legal agreement, definitions are up front. Be happy to, you know, after you go through it, Michael, if you want. Larry?
One thing I didn't hear you mention is that we're going to do the review simultaneously from now on.
Yep, that was
Yes.
one of the things.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah.
So under 4-2-8, the town administrator shall negotiate all contracts involving any subject within the jurisdiction of the office of town administrator. Seems to me that we've always had the discussion as to why not negotiate the busing contract where it's not part of the school department's budget.
It impacts the school. My opinion is, you know, they're the ones that have to manage that. I just can't see somebody else negotiating that and saying, here you go, good luck. I think they're the ones that manage it. If we wanted to be a part of that, it's one thing. The board certainly could look to be a part of it, but I certainly would want to take something on the school bus contract and serve it up and then find out that, you know, there are.
Well, it just strikes me, and I bring it up, I mean, the situation in Franklin where they just signed a 444 contract and saddled the town. That was a contract that was done by the school that the town pays for. And I guess that's the point that there's problems there.
So should there be?
Well, that's you're talking about this contract with the teachers.
Yeah. But I mean, you're still saddling the town, and you can tie the hands of the town because of it, the busing contract.
Well, I see what you're saying. I wouldn't be opposed to being involved with that because, like you said, the town picks up most of the burden for the bus costs in a separate line item from the school department's budget. Because my bone of contention with all this was in one place it said the school department's budget could be transferred separately than the rest of the budget, and I did not agree with that. You know, I know there's some moving parts in this bus conversation. The school committee is actually meeting tomorrow, and one of the items they're bringing up is this bus and bringing it in-house, but it is a big.
If
you're gonna put in a language that sticks with the town charter.
Yeah, but it says one of the things that it excludes are contracts involving library trustees in the school, because they are.
How about language? I mean, it does speak to that a member of a board can be removed if they miss 3 meetings. It doesn't speak to the process of Zoom meetings.
I wouldn't, but Zoom meetings, you can't vote. So what is the point of
It needs clarity then to say that Zoom meetings, it should say voting opportunities as opposed to just.
So as a voting member, they need to be present.
You need to be able to be eligible to cast a vote.
Come March 31st next year, I mean, you're not counted as participating. I mean, you can view it, you can discuss, but you can't participate in any of the actions.
Mm-hmm. Right now, you can.
We could put something in there that says physical presence, you know, to address it.
although the state mandates are going to supersede
No, I mean once.
our,
Yeah.
right,
One-
so
one side.
why would change it if the,
Like,
like, I
we
would
discussed
change it
that.
if we.
Why
That's why
don't
we
you take
didn't
out
change it.
7-8-3?
That's why we Huh?
You remove 7-8-3 in its entirety, A, B, and C.
Oh,
Written notice of intent to move.
it's in the,
It's there. It's
It's
under
in the-
section
Yeah,
8.
it's
Removals
actually
and
being-
suspensions.
I think it's actually being left.
Yeah. It is. We are leaving that in.
Yeah, that is.
That, because we did talk, yeah, it's staying. That's staying. That
Even though it's red line.
it shouldn't have been redlined, yeah, because that was
That was a lot of discussion.
it was redlined, and we said, we're gonna put it back. And for some reason, the red line never got fixed.
Probably went in the.
But it does,
Right.
Larry, I know that you've been managing this, but that area, we are leaving that in. Because there was,
Like a meeting.
that was a lot.
Oh,
So it's staying, it's staying.
Good.
Well, would you like to, come before the board and speak here?
To the extent that it's possible with 2 members of the board. Yeah.
Okay. Is it possible?
Yeah, we're gonna have another meeting because we still have the parks to wrap up and review there.
So we'll let you know when that is. All right. Dennis, Primavera demolition. One last thing. I'm sorry. So the other piece, which I failed to mention, and I apologize, that the charter and bylaw review will occur simultaneously every 10 years in the future, as opposed to separately with the bylaws every 5 and the charter every 10. So that's how it reads now. We're going to do them both at the same time every 10 years.
And obviously, if ever there was a provision in either, then before they can come up with it.
That's right.
This just forces, or make sure that we're reviewing.
Okay. All right. Primavera demolition.
Good. The bids, the goal is going to be to put this on the November town meeting. There was a good range there, and we were concerned with the low bid. If you see the low bid is 674,000. The next bid after that is 927,000, and then they go up. But our consultants, Universal Environmental Consultants in the school's been using them for a long time to do their periodic reviews of the buildings. I guess school buildings have to be reviewed for hazardous materials periodically. They've been doing that school for quite some time. They were the consultants that we used to put the bid spec together and put it out to bid. They've done work with Pasquazzi before. They did go over the bid with them line by line, and Pasquazzi wants it, and they are DCAM certified, which means you have to be certified by the state for projects over a certain dollar amount, and that was included in the bid, and there's no reason not to accept it as far as UEC is concerned. You see their recommendation, UEC's recommendation. They're saying bid amount at $674,258. Contingency 15%, $94,366. And then construction monitoring and air sampling at $46,376. So they're recommending a total of $815,000. And obviously, if we don't need the contingency or that full amount for the air sampling, then there'll be money left. We'll be looking to utilize free cash for that at the November town meeting. That is for the complete removal of the structure, all the asphalt, and backfilling. So we'll have a clean site and an opportunity to decide what we want to do, how we want to lay out the parking, and whatever else we want to do down there with some green space. So we said it before, it's been a problem. People are getting into it, vandalizing the building, and we need to act on it. We probably needed to act on it a few years ago, but we're in a position now. We'll be recommending utilizing free cash, and it would require a vote by the board to award that, and the award is subject to town meeting approval of the fund and the contractor that was put in the bid.
So the demolition to be done spring 2023?
I think they'll start shortly after town meeting. They'll start.
Wow.
They'll do the remediation of the asbestos. Yeah, they'll get going on it fairly soon. If you remember the Macy School, which would you say the Macy School is about the same size?
Bigger.
Because that came in over $700,000 bigger that a number of years ago. That was at least, let me say, 5 or 6 years ago we took that down.
Got more parking lot.
Yeah, that was in excess of 700,000. So I thought the number was going to be closer to $1 million. So we did well from that perspective.
So Dynasty Contingency,
yep.
what kind of
Triggers
is the word I wanted to use.
Well,
what triggers that? I mean,
one of the biggest things, the assessment firm goes in there and they assess the building. So they're looking and estimating quantities of the asbestos, which is the mastic on the back of the tiles. The tiles are put down with the adhesive that has asbestos in it. It was commonplace years ago. Also the ceiling, they took sampling of the ceiling. But once they start taking that building down, if they find something that wasn't known, then the contractor will be coming back looking for change orders on that. If there's additional asbestos that wasn't determined.
And who approves those change orders?
We'll have UEC as our consultant, but any changes would have to come to me, and ultimately we have the board review any changes. But that's where that would be. So not unlike when Don does his projects. There's typically a contingency in case when the contractors start digging pipe, they run into ledge here. The biggest concern is that they'll run into some sort of hazardous material that they didn't anticipate.
Any further questions? So we need to make a motion for it.
Make a motion to award subject to town meeting approval with the $815,000.
I make a motion to award the hazardous materials abatement and demolition project at the Primavera School to the low bidder Pasquazzi Brothers out of Cranston, Rhode Island. Amount of $815.
I'm sorry, Kevin. Could you make it specify the specific amount to Pasquazzi, because the other numbers would be what we go to town meeting with. So it would be the
okay. So you just okay. Make a motion to award the hazardous materials abatement and demolition project at the Primavera School to low bidder Pasquazzi Brothers in the amount of $674,258.
To be approved at town meeting.
Subject to approval at town meeting.
Second.
First and second. Any further discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
We had quite a few conversations about the Hartford Avenue project, our MassWorks grant. We're going to know next month as to whether or not that's funded, approved or not. If it's not approved, then we'll be looking at going back at that program again next year. So that's the goal. But the reason I say that is because we do want to move forward with the land takings. We've done the appraisals. We will be meeting with property owners up at Hartford Avenue, all the ones that are impacted, as we said we would. And just wanted to make sure the board was aware of that in case there are any calls or concerns. But the appraisers, they're done by a Mass DOT. They have certain appraisers that they certify for this process. We always use Dono, Howard Dono. They're out of Hopkinton or Holliston, but they're excellent appraisers. And it's not, I always say it's not with a wink and a nod that these numbers come in. It seems we usually pay on the high side as far as appraisals go. And some of the takings are going to the $15,000, $60,000.
They say some of them are very substantial.
They are. So no action to be taken. Just wanted to make you aware that we will be meeting with these property owners at their properties if they like, and we will be moving forward with that action at town meeting. And the town center update, after the last meeting, we made some more calls, and the Rep Soda's been working on it. They have given us a schedule finally, with a lot of explanations as to why it took this long. But the bottom line is, it's been 6 months and we couldn't even get a schedule. We do have a schedule, and what it shows is they're going to be completed, poles removed by the end of September. Hopefully that's what it is, but it's disappointing that's taken. So we lost the whole construction system.
So will anything happen after the poles are removed, or will there be a point where we just can't do anything?
Our expectation is Walsh is going to be right in there. Walsh has a contract, a lot of paving work to be done, a lot of grading, and primarily that's what's left. It's the paving. Fair amount of sidewalk work. The only other item I have, we will be asking, or I will be asking for an executive session to have Beth join us to update the board on contract negotiations.
Hillary, did I miss something here? Because I'm looking at
yeah, I
the Lisa Lou Cultural Council, because I don't see it on the agenda, but I just saw that.
No, I had sent an email, and this just kind of came forth today. The Cultural Council is having a hard time getting a quorum at their meetings. As you know, they can have a minimum of 5, or they can have 5 up to 22 members, and they're only having, a few show up for Cultural Council for meetings. Lisa Lou works at the Senior Center. She's the social service coordinator, and she was asked, they have their meetings, the Cultural Council has their meetings at the Senior Center, and they asked her if she would be interested in joining the Cultural Council, and she said she would. So she filled out an application, and they're waiting to have another meeting, and so they're asking us to appoint her this evening. We don't typically bring in the Bellingham Cultural Council applicants, only because they can have up to 22 members, so it's not, cutthroat.
Yeah.
So
she doesn't live in Bellingham.
No, she does not live in Bellingham. Full disclosure, she lives in Mendon.
But she was a resident for Bellingham for many years.
Lisa Lou?
Was she?
No, I don't know that.
No, okay. I just see
she was a graduate.
Graduate of high school, and I see
okay.
she was past PTO president and VP, working with Cultural Council. So I don't know if that was one of our PTOs or Mendon PTOs.
I think it's Mendon. She hasn't lived here.
It strikes me that we had 100 people that attended the event the other night. They could usually be members of the council. I mean, I'm going to vote no because she doesn't live in Bellingham. Right. It's just no surprise.
I don't know, Lisa.
I met her today.
Members.
We had 100 Bellingham residents attend Mike Soda's event to choose from. And if they don't want things out of the Cultural Council, that's fine. But why are we putting people who don't live in Bellingham on the Bellingham Cultural Council?
And I looked it up. I looked it up on Mass General Law, and you do not have to be a resident in the town that you're serving on the Cultural Council.
What's the link between the Cultural Council and the event?
I just think you got 100 people that are residents of this town that might want to be involved. Why are we struggling to find members?
Why do we have almost every single election?
Yeah.
Scarcity of candidates.
But again, the event was a great event. Yes, for the seniors, but it was a free meal. Whenever there's a free meal, believe me, they show up in droves. They just do, and that's okay. That's what it's there for. You want to provide. It doesn't mean that they want to do other things with their time. I don't know. Maybe they haven't put it out to members that go to the senior center to see if anybody would like to be. Maybe that's something we suggest. But
if they have their meetings there.
Yeah.
So and they can have up to 22 members. So if there's a couple other people that are interested, fill out. They have, you know, they can fill out an application.
How many members do they have right now?
They have 5, and one of them is Linda Trudeau, and she really hasn't been around. And there's another. There is another member on the council that has that doesn't. She's on the council and she doesn't want to be on the council anymore. So now they're down to like 3. So they're looking for more people.
You can ask yourself, what's the root cause of it?
Can I just say something?
Yes, sure.
How is this advertised? Because I just retired and I've been trying to get a little bit more involved in the town. But there is no information about who is looking for.
We post it like we post it usually one time a year when the boards and committees are up for appointment, and so it gets posted in January.
Okay.
Do you attend? Do you go to the senior center? No. Because that's where they meet, and that's where so that's probably where.
You're thinking about other committees.
Yes, other things for volunteers.
Yeah.
So you open the webpage, the Bellingham Town webpage. At least I didn't see information, you know, where.
Yeah, we post it in January, but that's something that we could do is have a page just for that.
So you could have a line item on the web page, volunteers needed, they click, and it could show all the positions that are currently available.
That's actually a great idea.
But I see what she's saying too. Like, we had no idea that we know that we appointed Terry Graham last year, who doesn't live in town, but I didn't have any idea that people weren't showing up to the meetings until you sent the email.
Yeah.
So maybe the first step should not be, we just want you to appoint this person that we just talked to. And maybe it needs to go back and say, well, let's put a posting out and see. But because clearly this hasn't gone out to the public, so nobody knows.
I would think that if you get 150 people that attend town meeting, those are the people that were most likely to get involved. You could give a handout to those people. So here are some of the things you can get involved with.
And also on her point, I just went to as soon as when you click on the website, you have to look for it. Like what's out there or not. It's maybe we can make it a little more friendly, if we can move with IT.
It's a good idea. Volunteers needed.
So when you put the website, you get this first.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, you see that section on the right before you went, that's why I mentioned, the volunteers needed, and it brings you to a link in a description of all the positions available that are needed.
Yeah, I think it's
even for us, if you're not looking what you're looking for, it might be complicated. I think you should be a little more friendly. I absolutely agree with Maria with it. Maybe we can we'll work with that, just to make it easier.
I normally am not opposed to appointing people that don't live in town. However, in this situation, I have nothing against Lisa, but I don't really know her. Like I know Terry Graham had no issue with that. My bigger issue is it hasn't been out there for anyone else to apply either. So if she's the only one that comes forward after everyone else in town's been given a chance.
That's fine, and I get your point, but this is this council is a little bit different because you can have up to 2 members, and that's kind of been the.
And there's only 5, but only 3 are going to the meetings.
And sometimes not even.
So they can't have.
Right. Exactly. They were supposed to have a meeting today, and they couldn't even.
Can we just put it out there first, and then after that, we'll go back and revisit it?
Yeah.
And does it have to be done now?
No.
No, it doesn't. No. Larry?
I actually just wanted to ask Dennis a question. Isn't there some kind of deadline coming up, though? Because that's the sense that I got from Gerald. for
I know annually, if you recall a year ago, we kind of were put on notice that if we don't get our membership up and get a certain number of meetings, we're gonna run into a problem with the funding. They get $75 a year. And we were able to get back into compliance. So I wasn't aware of that, but Daryl mentioned that to you. That could be part of the issue too.
Well,
It seems like we have Bellingham Friends of Music, but the parents are involved there and care about the culture.
No, they're having a lot of trouble getting parent volunteers too, so I don't know that I would hang my hat on that, but
Unfortunately, it's one of those things that there are a few people involved that have been involved, and it won't be long before just won't.
We won't have one.
Yeah.
I just was looking, I'm sorry.
We can make that on
Yeah.
we'll make it on the home.
So
Maybe revisit it at the next meeting.
maybe we.
That's fine.
Who can we speak to about advertising, getting the word out there to members of the community that this is a council that we need some help in? And maybe it's a description of what the cultural council, their purpose. What's their purpose, and how often members meet, and I think that would be helpful.
Well, that might be,
It's their mission statement is there.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
what
one of
I
the
thought.
things
It's on
that
our
was
website.
required, so it's
Get it in the Bellingham bulletin. Can we get it in the senior newsletter? Can we get the word out?
I can
Who's the
have
chairperson?
a conversation with the chairperson.
Daryl.
Yeah, can you have that conversation?
Mhm.
Marie, you have more time in your hands? You want to put an application in for a cultural council?
yeah.
Oh, you can't? That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you're in the board of registrar, that's right. Yep, sorry.
That's it.
All right, so I'm going to suggest then after this lengthy discussion that we don't take action tonight and that we speak to Daryl.
Mhm.
And not that we're opposed, and we appreciate Lisa stepping up and volunteering, but it would be nice, and she may end up being on the board. This may upset her. We hope it doesn't, but we want to see if we can get some more residents in Bellingham to serve on this board.
Well, at least put it out to the residents to give them the
Exactly.
opportunity.
It's listed 9 over here.
It's
Hasn't been
I
updated.
don't know if that's been
Oh,
updated.
it may just not have
Okay.
one of the people there.
So I think we've satisfied the agenda and discussion for this evening. And I know, Dennis, you are calling for an executive session,
Just
correct?
to update the board on negotiations.
I'll pull the board to go into executive session.
Second.
Kelly?
Yes.
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
So at this time,
There'll be nothing after.
there'll be nothing after. We're going to executive session. So at this time, we have a closed door meeting. So Marie, thank you for coming, and Larry. Good night.
Thank you.
The
Good night.
meeting is
Do we need a
over.
motion to go to close the
Yeah.
meeting and go into staff?
Yeah.
Make a motion to close the meeting at 7:57 and go to executive session.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Good night, everybody.